Hi, how's everybody doing? I hope this video finds everyone well. As always, welcome to my channel, Infinity Now. So if you haven't been here before, but I wanted to do a quick video on the idea of wandering souls. So this came up again. I was watching, I hear this come up a lot actually, when I watch other videos about like psychics or anything, involving that sort of thing. And I was always curious how that worked. I spent some time putting that together with my spiritual guides, actually over the past few years. So this is one bit of information I think it's pretty fascinating. So it answered a lot of questions for me, and I hope you find it informative. And I know there's a lot, again, when I say this in my other videos, but there's a lot of other schools of thought and differing ideas about how that sort of thing works. But I was seeking to find an answer because there's a lot of different conflicting ideas too about how that sort of thing works. So I was trying to find what the underlying truth is to that sort of thing. And then usually, once you have a truthful starting point, something consistent, it gives you a consistent way to apply that contextually to the whole concept, and then helps put everything in the right light, if you will. So what I found interesting was the idea of wandering souls, from what I understand. So when people die, and people can wander the earth after you die. For example, if you die in a certain manner, like if you die by suicide, I've heard or watched videos or read online that these sorts of people don't have peace or closure. So they wander the earth. I think a lot of people, many of you probably heard that concept, about wander the earth or wandering souls until they go to the light, or you send them to the light, or they somehow find peace and then are able to transition to the next realm, that sort of thing. So the idea comes from that, or perhaps some sort of karmic cycle that you have to release, or a task, whether there's a task that you did not complete or feel like you didn't complete. Usually this idea of wandering souls has to do with the sense of just being not whole in some manner of speaking. And until you are either assisted in that manner of speaking, or solve whatever it is that is keeping you earthbound. That's another term for it, like earthbound spirits, that sort of thing. But the truth is, which is interesting, it's actually the former of those two things, not the latter, meaning there is assistance. And there is, believe it or not, no such thing as wandering souls, earthbound spirits, that sort of thing. There is a very, we'll talk to my guides over and over about this, and it makes a lot of sense to me too. So, why would anybody who's in a better place allow someone to wander or bother people on earth? Somebody's got to be in charge down here. So, wandering spirits, haunting people, or if they're walking around and people catch a glimpse of them, it seems unregulated. If there are people in a higher and better place, where we all go when we die, 100%. Why aren't they helping these people? So, or that sort of thing, or what's the process? And of course, there's ideas, like I was just discussing, possible reasons behind that, but it turns out, from what I understand, it's simply not true. So everybody is immediately taken to the afterlife. Souls don't wander. Our privacy is respected down here, and ghosts and things like that aren't allowed to haunt or bother you. This whole process of evolution on planet Earth is completely respected. So these spirits aren't just free to wander and do whatever they want or interfere with your life or that sort of thing. Our privacy and our life and our space and everything this whole planet is kept completely free of that sort of thing, believe it or not. So, and that is why, because when people die, our souls are immediately taken to the afterlife in a completely separate location. And that goes for all life, animals, humans, that sort of thing. Nothing is allowed to awake and just wander about lost and unguided and that sort of thing. So it just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be proper, if you really think about it. But that's from what I understand, and it's meant to be fair for everybody, and that's why. So, and because there is no, but there is help. In other words, this sort of thing isn't allowed to just go unchecked. Period. Which makes sense. Like, let's say you died, and then you are in the afterlife. I'm doing videos about this too as we speak, actually. And everybody's taken to the afterlife 100%, regardless of who you are and what you did down here, period. Because this is pure evolution down here. No one knows how it works for sure until we die and cross over. So there's no judgment, there's no heaven, there's no hell, there's nothing like that. Everybody crosses over into the afterlife in identical manner because we don't know. So it's meant to be fair and that sort of thing. And so that's great too. I think that allows for a lot of peace of mind about what happens and how everybody is treated. But again, that's kind of it's related, but it's a whole other topic. So that being said, okay, sorry, I almost lost my train of thought there for a moment. There's an important point to kind of get into here, which is this is not to discredit everybody's experience with that sort of thing. When I receive information, it's mostly audible for the most part, and I always try to focus on audible energy. Some visual, clairvoyance is the visual, and clairaudience is hearing things, but that's a skill I'm trying to focus on and use the most. That being said, I have seen and heard things, a lot. So as part of this experience and tapping into the spiritual realms, that sort of thing. So I've seen these sorts of things before over the past few years, like wandering spiritual beings, souls, human souls, like even animals and stuff like that. Like non-physical kind of spiritual images, that sort of thing. And so I know it's a real experience. So it's not to discredit that. But the distinction there is that these things were real and I saw them. You see these things and you have that experience. It is absolutely real and true. But the source, the point of origin is not where we think it's coming from. So meaning, again, because the afterlife is so holistic and based on, well, from our experience anyways, we're born here and how we cross over, we're made whole. Everyone is crossed, when we cross over, we're made whole physically, completely healthy. We're in a state of infinite joy and peace and calm, that sort of thing. So to transition into such an elevated place, it doesn't make sense with all this infinite power, and like if I died and crossed over and one of my loved ones was down here, I wouldn't want them to go through any sort of bad experience, same transition if you think about it. In other words, keep this place free of negative energy. Souls aren't allowed to wander, bring them over to the other side, that sort of thing. And, demons aren't just running around freely or dark energy or that sort of thing. Now, again, a lot of people have experienced this sort of thing, myself included, whether you have or use like spiritual or psychic abilities or not. But they're not coming from anywhere in the afterlife or spiritual realm. So, and to briefly explain that, so everything, humans especially, contain our databases. We are so full of knowledge, and it's very fluid. It sits inside us, our minds, and of course, we can draw up this imagery. We use words to think, and that's how we communicate. We have memories of all 5 senses that we experience on Earth, and it is just sitting in here waiting for us to be accessed. We can conjure this stuff up using our intent and our memory anytime we want to. So we usually think in words for the most part, but again, you can close your eyes or even open them have daydreams, just like you can at night and that sort of thing. So this energy can be accessed visually, audibly, and again, it's very fluid. So like even if we're not using it, it's doing all sorts of stuff that we're not really even aware of on any given moment because we're only tuned into our own thoughts. So like if there's a loud noise, literally, like, you take a moment and you think, you have to process it and think, well, what was that? And, what's going on? So you're accessing your database and your word choice and that sort of thing, either in the moment or you analyze it immediately after, that sort of thing. So this noise also, it will, just like you're reacting to it with your mind, your whole database is reacting to it. So it's almost like a rock in a pond is a good way to look at it. You throw a rock and then it kind of ripples. This energy can ripple. And you don't lose this energy, so like you don't have memory loss when all the stimuli is happening around you. But things can kind of emanate out of you visually and audibly, and just like in your dream state. So, when your eyes are closed and you're not aware, all this information is still stored in you. That's why our dreams are so chaotic and seemingly random sometimes. Sometimes they seem relevant, sometimes not, because it's our information that we're storing in there and our experiences. And without visual focus when we're awake, like you're focused at your job or talking to someone or that sort of thing, you're just unconscious. And, your database can just kind of start like a pinball machine, kind of like ding, 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 information can just kind of come to life. And then sometimes we're aware of it and sometimes we're not. And lucid dreaming, you can control that sort of thing while you're asleep. But for the most part, I think we've all had that experience where we are kind of at the whim of whatever's happening in our head or our field of energy when we're not in control and not awake. So, part of the reason we're just not, our whole lives we are raised and trained to read and listen, and things are stored in our head. So remember, this is non-physical energy. So, but it's very fluid and very reactive. And what speaks to that whole thing about, focus, in other words, is, other people are having thoughts and memories and feelings and emotions. Why can we only hear ours versus theirs? Because people are thinking around us all the time and feeling, because we're trained to our whole lives to focus on that kind of thing. But then once you start to open up to more non-physical energy, you become aware of that around you and coming from others and, that sort of thing. So it's just a skill that we open ourselves up to. And some people develop that through psychic abilities, or some people have, a handful of experiences throughout their life, like seeing or hearing something. But that's what it is your awareness is starting to tune into more and more that simply non-physical energy, just like we use when we activate our thoughts and memories, that sort of thing. So, okay, so that being said, that's exactly where this information comes from. And sorry, I'm trying to remember where I left off. Okay, yep. So that's exactly where this information, these experiences come from. So know that this place is highly protected and preserved. Tortured or pained souls or negative entities or dark energy just is not a reality. And neither is wandering souls and that sort of thing. So, and if you think about it, we contain energy. Things around us contain energy. Sounds can, resonate through the air. Even if you yell like in your mind, for example, like really, really loud, just like sound it can carry. It'll dissipate eventually. But if someone's sitting next to you, like on the bus or something, their database might react unbeknownst to them. Because again, we're only focused on our own thoughts on any given moment. So our souls and the information it contains are constantly reacting and emanating energy and visuals and audibles and stuff like that. And these things can take on form. And just like in our dream state, when we focus on something, just because we dream something doesn't mean we had the actual experience. Like if I went fishing last night in a brand new hat, but I've never done that before, I could have a dream about that because you're just kind of randomly piecing together information. And then as you focus on it while you're dreaming, you're like, oh, hey, I think many of us have had this experience of partial lucidity, and you're like, oh, wow, that's me, fishing in my brand new hat. This is great. And then so you kind of focus on that possibly aware you're asleep maybe a little bit, and then just that dream kind of plays out as you watch it. Um, Same thing can happen. So like the more you focus on something, that more you simply, and you expect it to continue. Like you're like, wow, is that a ghost right there? And you're staring at it. Your expectation as you stare at it, your focus and your intent and everything can literally keep this thing in place. And just like in your dream, when you can talk to random or things happen, that sort of thing, you can converse with this image that is taking on a life of its own. But its origination is nowhere from the afterlife. It is a projection of self or possibly other energetic interference around you. Now, you can communicate while you're asleep if you develop that skill, but it's not something that happens randomly or automatically like that. So there's two sources of origin for that are important to differentiate. So all this energy is active and dissipating. And believe it or not, sometimes, if a image or thought form does take on a life of its own and starts to wander around, it is removed immediately. So even if you're still focusing it on something and seeing it, if it starts to become an issue, that sort of thing, it will be removed. But your intent and focus, again, can still keep it there. Like for example, if I picture an apple in my hand and I ask my angels or guides to remove it, they can try, but the more I hold this visual in my mind, like right in front of me in my hand, even if they remove it, I'm holding a constant image of it there. So that's a good example of how, even though they try to remove it, your focus and intent literally holds it into place. So it will be eventually, once you stop focusing on it, they remove this sort of thing to keep this place pure and clean. There's a very established process to do that. So, by the way, pictures, just like our own heads contain our souls and memories, pictures do too, which is really interesting. So if your television's on and someone's talking, and there's pictures in your home, and if you have neighbors upstairs, that sort of thing, all this information could be reacting to each other, settling in, dissipating, and then being activated by, again, something. So like all this stuff is constantly, there's a lot of movement in the non-physical field of energy that doesn't come from the spiritual realms. But we may think it does because we're seeing and experiencing something that is valid and true. It's just not coming from where we think it is. So, I think that basically sums up that process and everything. I hope you find it informative. I found it really fascinating too, and informative. It makes a lot of sense too to me. Now that I get that, just there is a very structured order of benevolence and that is fair and equal to all life on Earth, that helps maintain this place to make it as least disruptive as possible, including cleaning up excess energy and also escorting life and souls and that sort of thing. So. And it just makes sense. It's a perfect plan, and it applies to all. If you do see or experience these sorts of things, please know that these sorts of projections and emanations are not the actual individuals. If you know someone who died in a certain manner, or that sort of thing, again, everybody, no matter what, is immediately taken to the afterlife, woken up, made whole, perfect, healthy, happy, at infinite peace, that sort of thing. Everyone is ushered into this, the afterlife in the same manner. So if you ever get messages from psychics, or they tell you something, or say they see something in your home, like a haunting or a disturbance, or your dead loved one is still wandering around Earth, please know these sorts of things may be real, but the source of these sorts of experiences are absolutely not your loved ones, for example, or your pets or anything like that. Everything is immediately taken to the afterlife in a perfect manner of speaking. So please know that. And if you're getting a reading from a psychic and they tell you these sorts of things, it could be energy emanating from your soul, they're hearing, or that sort of thing. The information could be coming from multiple places, actually. But the truth is, your loved ones are fine and at peace in the afterlife. And these sorts of experiences we have, like hauntings and that sort of thing. I've watched Halloween's coming up too, so there's a ton of good videos coming online about, things captured on film. Many of them, so not all of them. Remember, it is possible, it is extremely rare though, for anything spiritual to be captured on physical film. Remember, we are physical. When we hear our thoughts, we hear these things non-physically. They actually, I talk about this in another video, but we are both physical and non-physical at the same time. Everything that's physical here has a non-physical counterpart that's identical. That's just the fundamental nature of reality for everything that's physical. We have two aspects of self existing in the same moment at the same time. It's simply how it works for some reason. But that being said, that's why spirits and ghosts and angels and guides, our loved ones, not spirits and ghosts, but people from the afterlife, that's how they can see and hear us, because of this duality that we have fundamentally. Otherwise, physical eyes cannot see non-physical energy, and vice versa. So really, physical equipment, just like our bodies are, can't record non-physical energy, period. Everything from the afterlife is strictly non-physical. We are physical, two different sets of senses. So that being said, a lot of the videos are either things that are misunderstood that are captured on film, and it's truly something physical. A lot of them, which is kind of funny, a lot of them are just made up or hoaxes. So I've come across a lot with my guides, and they'll say, that they can actually see the difference in the film and what was done to it and that sort of thing. So it's rare, possible, but very, very rare, the spiritual activity can get picked up on physical equipment. Just like miraculous healing happens with no explanation, this sort of phenomenon is rare but can happen. There's no reason, there could be, but there's no direction from the spiritual realms behind it, is the best way to put it. So these things happen accidentally and very rare. So when people talk about, seeing ghosts or that sort of things, or a vast majority of these things online are either misunderstood recordings of actually something physical or something that's doctored. So that being said, I think that covers everything I wanted to in this video. Again, so and I know I repeated some stuff from some of my other videos, but I think it's a lot of good stuff to cover, because it's starting to piece together this whole picture of kind of how everything works overall, which is my ultimate goal here, is to kind of piece together this ultimate understanding of how things work and why they work, and try to find a unifying truth, the truth about really existence. We are part of it, and there's a way to understand it, and I'm finding it really cool as I share these videos with you guys. So thank you so much for watching again, and if you have any questions, again, comments, feel free to email me or leave them in the comment section, or ideas or any discussions to have in the comment section, or ideas to do new videos. That'd be great. If you like it, definitely like the video, and if you subscribe, I'd be grateful. That's so awesome, as I continue to share this information. It's exciting to have people tune into that sort of thing. So thank you so much once again, and appreciate you watching the video. And as always, most definitely take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.